Hello and welcome to the couch right here on ZTN, brought to you in partnership with Africa Bet. My name is Howard Msonza, and this is the show that gives you everything that's going to do with football here in Zimbabwe. And today, what are we talking about? We are looking at the man in the middle, the referees. What is their role and vis-a-vis football development in Zimbabwe. So that's what we are essentially doing, putting them under the microscope and trying to see if there are any issues right there. But in the studio, we've got the couch squad, Momo and Mr. Teach.
Don't even start. Let's be professional today.
Okay. How are you doing, Mr. Teach?
I'm great. I'm fantastic.
Oh.
Yes.
All right.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I know why you're asking me, but I'm good. A lot happened over the weekend.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, but I'm good.
Oh,
I'm good.
great.
I'm better.
Good
I
to
can
hear.
be better than this, but look, for the purposes of the show, we can go on more.
I'm very well. I probably I'm better than both of you.
What does that mean? All right, this is the Couch Squad. Mr. Teach and Momo. In the studio, we've got a special guest, hey, because we are looking at referees. We've got a man who has done it all on the pitch as a referee, won top accolades, and now he's a match assessor. His name is Ruzive. Ruzive, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Howard. I'm happy to be here.
I hope you're not feeling the heat, because when you guys are officiating matches, there's a lot of heat that comes, eh? You're trying to deal with the players, the coaches, and the supporters. There is a lot of abuse that goes on. Just tell us a bit about that.
Zimbabwe at 42 today. Ruzive is comfortable because he's on the couch, not on the field. Not on the field, okay? It's hot out there on the field. So that's why you see it's not easy to be officiating matches. It's one of the most difficult aspects, but you have to be strong, you have to do the job, you have to serve the nation. Remember, sometimes you have to officiate even when His Excellency is in the terraces, okay? You have got the supporters, you have got the coaches, they are under pressure to have results. You have every other stakeholder, including the journalists yourselves. So you have to satisfy the nation through good officiating.
I'll add on something to that, because this past week there's a referee in Ghana now who's having erection problems because he gave a penalty to Asante Kotoko. We're talking on Hearts of Oak. So I feel you, yeah? All right. So let's just go back to what happened this past weekend in the Casablanca Premier Soccer League and look at the games that were on. Dynamos went back to the top of the Premier Soccer League after beating Manica Diamonds by a 1-0 at the National Sports Stadium. Emmanuel Paga scoring the only goal of that match. And I'll come to you, Mr. Teach. Hey, not a really good weekend, and you were not in studio this past weekend.
Well, I had to go and watch my hometown team at the National Sports Stadium. But I think Dynamos deserved the win by the fact that they managed the game well. I think they were very professional. They knew what they wanted to do, contain Manica Diamonds. And I think the goal that came from Paga, I think that was the only time that Bill Antonio escaped that left wing, and, they were ruthless. And I think the big part of why they've been successful this season has been the fact that they're not conceding goals. We saw, I think, on that game over the weekend, Manica Diamonds were having swaths of possession, but when they got into the final third, Frank Makarati, Passon Jaure, Kit Moreira, and all those guys at the back, I think they were doing a very good job of making sure that there were no real threats for Dynamos. And when you look at the fact that it's now been 12 games into the season, they've conceded 4 goals. That's just 1 goal every 3 games. I think this could be, if they do go on and win the league, I think it will be based on that stellar defensive record.
But I love Manica Diamonds, and I was looking at their players, a mixture of youth and experience. And I saw Themba Ndlovu captaining the side. Themba Ndlovu played for a lot of teams in the world, some that are defunct now. Eastern Lions, Buffaloes,
Motor Action. You won the league with them.
You won the league with Dynamos as well. Captained them at some point. How old is the guy?
Well, according to PSL records, he is 38.
According to PSL records.
I can only speak on the figure that I know. But like you said, I think it's What I like about the Manica Diamonds team especially is, like you talked about, the youth and experience, but there's also that hometown flavor. Obviously, Temba is not from Mutare, but the first team that he played for in the top flight was Eastern Lions. He's played for Buffaloes. He's played for Mutare City, so he understands the culture there. You look at Nyasha Chintuli, Liberty Chakoroma, all those guys. They're players who've made their bread in Manica. And so I was very proud to see them come to the National Sports Stadium, give a good account of themselves, because a lot of people have been hearing that Manica Diamonds is doing this, Manica Diamonds is doing that, but very few people had watched them. I think even more will begrudgingly say that, you know, they played decent football, they lost, but I think this shit is a maifunga.
I concur with what he's saying, but I think the major difference could have been the tactics by the coaches. Yeah, because I thought the coach gave a lot of respect to Dynamos from the outset. If you look at how he set out the team, how do you leave Mabvura Panze? How do you leave him out when he has 4 goals? How do you leave Lloyd? Katonga Mara, he has got 5 goals. And then if you combine those and the top goal scorer, you get 18 goals. If you have all that firepower from the onset, the intention is very clear that you want to win the game, but he decided to have those guys on the bench and decided to have 5 midfielders, 3 defenders. So there were more defense-minded people than attacking people. That kind of respect to Dynamos ended up in them not penetrating.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not the coach for Manica Diamonds, but look, whenever you're approaching a game, you've got a strategy. And especially when you're playing away from home, you know, you put in a lot of defensive-minded players because you're playing away from home. I don't know what happened. But the other games that were played also in match day 12, Chicken Inn, 1-0 winners over Belaya City on Saturday. Well, they were on top of the log standings just for a night and then were dislodged by Dynamo. Skeps United lost to Triangle at the Gibo by 2-1. Yeah, this one, I don't know what's going on with Caps, but they need to have some sort of consistency because it's just not there.
Yeah. Definitely hot and cold, but to be fair, I think a lot of the teams that will travel to the Gibbo will struggle to get any points. I think Triangle, a big part of the reason why they're up there in the top of the table is that when teams go down to the low veld, they've been able to get results there. And, you know, it might be a bit harsh to expect Caps, given the way they've blown hot and cold, to go all the way to Chiredzi and get a result. But, you know, I think it is a cause for concern, given that Lois Chitembo has brought in his experienced, these experienced players, the veterans as we like to call them. So you'd think they would have the nose to understand, you know, the difficulties that it takes to go to a place like Triangle. I think for most of the teams, most of the players in that Caps United team, they would have been to Triangle before. They understand what it takes. So it starts begging the question whether it was really the right approach. You know, what value are these experienced players bringing in? And I'll go back to what I said, I think, on one of the very first episodes when we were getting back into the start of the season. You know, these were the expendables, and people thought I was joking. But, you know,
I think it was an expected loss. Dynamos went there and they lost. FC Platinum got a draw. So it's always a difficult venue. But I think the Expendables, like he wants to tame them, they've done quite well, especially at home. That consistency is lacking. They also need to actually make sure at home they win matches, because they are not winning all matches at home. Away, it's really bad for Caps. They really need to think deep and find better ways of managing their travel.
All right, these are just varied results of the matches that were played in match day 12. I know, guys, we have to talk about the match that was on at Mandava Stadium. FC Platinum taking on Highlanders. Because of the topic that we are, I'm going to leave that deliberately so that we just tie it up together. But on some of our trending stories, this past weekend, the Zimbabwe Football Association councillors voted out former association president Felton Kamambo and 2 board members, Philemon Machana, as well as Brighton Malandule. Well, this followed an EGM that was held in Harare. This was on Saturday, where they ushered in Gift Banda as the acting association president. But the $1 million question, guys, is will FIFA accept what came out of that EGM and then lift the Zimbabwe suspension from world football?
I think the first port of call will be the SRC. The new ZIFA that has been ushered, the new ZIFA board that has been ushered should engage.
It's not
SRC.
really a new ZIFA board. It's
No,
just
it's-
3 people who were plucked out. And the remain, it's still the same.
It's new.
What do you mean?
Gift Banda never exercised his role as the vice president of.
But he's not new. We knew he was the. Please help me
Okay.
here.
It's
Please,
new.
please.
Semantics now, that's more is
Let me
played
finish. The new ZIFA board that has been ushered in over the weekend should
I think
now
it's a remixed
yeah,
ZIFA
should now engage the SRC. Make sure that the SRC understands where they're coming from, what they're trying to do. Because if you look at the accusations by the SRC, it was based on those 3 that were ousted, and also the gentleman from the referees. And all these guys, they're now out. So let the law take its course on those guys that are ousted. But now we can have our football going forward. If the SRC allows and accepts that the condition is okay and it's fine, and they unsuspend ZIFA, then FIFA should also be able to accept it. FIFA should accept it not on the basis that the SRC has unsuspended us, but because the constitution was used to come up with this new board, in brackets.
well, just on that, yesterday I was at a function in Harare. I saw the sports minister, Kirsty Coventry, and the chairman of the SRC, Gerard Molochwa. Both of them were very evasive about this FIFA suspension. But what I managed to pick from the sports minister is she said, they don't want to get too involved, but she hinted that, whatever happened during the weekend will influence in a big way how they are going to move forward. And then the SRC chairman himself, Gerard Molochwa, actually saying that ZIFA, as of yesterday, had actually the councillors, they had written to the SRC with their plan of how to approach FIFA to try and respond to the suspension and deal with it. So I think the SRC is supposed to meet today, and hopefully they say by tomorrow that they will give us some position. So maybe it looks like there's some movement. Whether it'll be the right kind of movement, because my concern, Howard, is that a big part of why we're in this mess is, we haven't really done things logically. I think there's been a lot of emotion, a lot of ego, a lot of trying to prove a point. So as much as people might say something and it might seem like we're heading in a certain direction, you don't know what happens when people are in a closed room and somebody's ego decides, no, this is not the way we want to go.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this on the show, that probably the SRC jumped the gun a little bit because they should have allowed due process, because you've got councillors who are, they decide what happens because they are the ones who usher in people into office and all that because they vote and all that. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. And Mr. Assessor is here. Is here. I know because you're also affected. With the suspension of Zimbabwe football, it also affects you.
Yeah, indeed. Careers of many many sports persons is affected because of the decision that was made. But I believe if the due process is taken, they can actually amend this situation. For starters, I think FIFA can look at us, Zimbabwe, and say the councillors are not happy with the board, with the executive committee. The numbers tell a story. But what the SRC should have done, the moment they realized that there is support from the councillors, what they should have done is just to use the councillors to do due diligence. Instead of suspending the board, they should have just let them stay. Then influence the councillors privately to request for an EGM. Okay, when the EGM has been requested, the board will then have to make sure that they do so, because it will be copied to FIFA, isn't it?
Yes.
When it's copied to FIFA and the days, if it is 1 month notice, then they don't give that notice. The councillors will then come in and then give a date according to the constitution. If that had happened, by now we could have been back in world football. But right now, because of the numbers that have shown that the executive committee is no longer needed, What we should now be doing is probably to go through the SRC. Then the SRC will write to FIFA to explain the situation that is on the ground, and probably retain the board as in full, as it is. Okay, if it is retained in full, then they see how we can progress going forward. Otherwise, we can have a solution. Right, because Joe, the numbers are actually talking.
You're watching The Couch right here on Zim Papers Television Network, brought to you in partnership with Africa Bet. And what are we talking about today? We're talking about Zimbabwe football officiating, and we've just put them under scrutiny. And in the studio, we are joined by the Couch Squad, Momo and Makom, and Mr. Teach, as well as Ruzia. Ruzia, he's a former top referee. Now he's a match assessor. And we'll then look at what does a match assessor do?
The duties of the match assessor is just to check the performance of the referees, to see how they are controlling the match. That's the aspect number one. The second aspect is in terms of their physical fitness and movement on the pitch. And then the third aspect is cooperation among the match officials. So on those three aspects, this is where you assess the performance of the referee to see how well and how good they are doing. After the match, then you have to give feedback in terms of how they have fared, so that the feedback is what they are going to use for their next match.
All right, sorry, I'm going to put you on the spot. Did you watch this past weekend's game at Mandava Stadium?
I saw highlights. I didn't see the whole match. I was also occupied in another match.
All right. Anyway, we will talk about that. So there's a game that took place at Mandava Stadium, match day 12, FC Platinum taking on Highlanders, and that game was abandoned in the 81st minute because there was chaos. Highlanders had scored first, then FC Platinum scored, and it was all fair and square until the 81st minute when Walter Musona was, from what I saw, it seemed like it was a push by Peter Mudua, and he fell down, and the referee pointed to the spot. There was a penalty, and Highlanders players mobbed the referee and the far side assistant referee, maybe because they felt the decision was not the right decision. So soon after that, Highlanders fans also came onto the pitch. There was a pitch invasion there, and in the aftermath, the Highlanders players led by their skipper Ariel Sibanda, actually it was the skipper who was trying to persuade the fans to get out of the pitch. And after that, one thing led to the other. Police then threw tear gas, and some of us were really affected badly. Hey, that thing is...
I saw you on Sunday. You were looking worse for the wear.
Yeah. Look, even right now, my eyes still hurt, and I've got a running tummy and a lot of things, you know. And in the moment, I think I lost it a bit because I was trying to do commentary on what was happening because, you know, in the heat of the moment, you want people to know what's going on. But I couldn't. I remember the last thing that I said was, there's tear smoke here. And that was it. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't even see.
And you swore.
Sorry?
You swore.
I did?
Yes, you did. I think that was the last word you said. Anyway.
I don't know. I don't know what he's saying. I don't know what he's saying. So this is what happened. But now, when you look back at all this, because now you saw the highlights and all that, it started from a decision that was made by the man in the middle. Because I know, yes, it's neither here and there because he's going to say what he saw. You're going to say, I'm going to say what I saw. I thought I was at a vantage point because I was watching the game and I had the benefit of replays and all that. But that's where it started. Yeah, and we are saying a lot of things based on what we saw. But from the highlights that you saw, what did you think?
Yeah, it's clear that, it's not clear rather, that there was an offense. From the cameras that were there, they didn't give us the best. Probably that's one area that as a nation we need to improve on. We need various angles for us to make a decision. For that situation, it's very difficult for us to say there was an infringement or not. Okay, we will be assuming to say there is a decision that we can make from the couch or from the terraces. It's very difficult to clearly say there was a situation that was not done well. But I would tell you one thing. Like I said in the first aspect, when you asked me about what does a assessor do, the second aspect I said it is about match fitness and movement. Okay, there's an aspect called anticipation. Mm-hmm. In that scenario, the moment it was actually Highlanders attacking, the moment the ball was taken away by FC Platinum, the referee was supposed to anticipate a movement going forward. In that anticipation, you begin to move forward. You don't wait until the ball has been launched forward. You have to move forward, okay? And then first play backwards. Then turn when the ball has been kicked forward, okay? So in this case, the referee, one aspect that is not impressive to me is the weight. Mm-hmm. The referee has too much weight.
Right, the referee of that game, his name is called Tirivamari Jaravaza, and he was being assisted by Silvanos Zigwati. Mm-hmm. He was the far side assistant referee who was on the near side. But I remember the fourth official is Bamala in that game. So soon after the game, they requested audience with me, maybe because I was doing commentary and all that, and they were asking me, what did you see? Mm-hmm. And so I gave them my peace of mind. And well, if there was a foul,
it was outside.
It was outside the box.
If there was, yeah.
Not inside the box. Mm-hmm. And if there was a foul, from the angles that we could see, there was a push of some sort. Mm-hmm. But now Silvanos Zigwadi said there was a pull on the jersey, which I understand then it becomes a foul. But where did it happen? I think that's the key question. So from that, and you spoke about the weight and that, because it affects the movement of the referee. And also I can also add, because I was at a vantage point, right, I could see even the near side assistant referee, he made a lot of blunders. I could see 3-4 offsides that he didn't raise his flag because he was constantly behind play. So I'm sure that's one aspect that we need to also look at here on the couch. But I'm going to bring in those guys because many a times we have heard coaches, because we speak to coaches afterwards, and they always say, okay, the refereeing was bad, the refereeing was poor. But because at times these coaches are then sanctioned, by the PSL because of what they would have said. What's the best way forward? When you see things, do you just keep quiet?
I think definitely if we see something amiss, especially as members of the Fourth Estate, it is our duty to definitely highlight those issues like what we're doing on the couch today and discussing this. And I think maybe there's something, it's important to also have professionals like Ruziwe coming here, because I think a lot of the times when a referee makes a controversial decision, to put it that way, a lot of the focus is on, oh no, he's favoring a particular team, or maybe he's been bribed or whatever. But he raised a very important point, which is fitness. Because I think in all this debate that has been raging about the decision that was made, there have been a lot of accusations and counter accusations that have been made about the referee. But if you watch that footage back, the referee was behind play, and the call was made by the far side assistant. I think he's the one he ran to consult with. So the referee was also at the mercy of the far side assistant, because like Ruziwe said, he was behind play. He was far behind play, and he was probably watching it from behind. You had a vantage point, us on TV, where probably had a better angle. So you saw him going to consult the far assistant referee, and that's why you saw even when the fans invaded the pitch, they didn't go for the center referee. They went after the far side assistant. Because
so the consulting happened after the decision, because I can tell you what happened. Yeah. Because play is going on, and the far side assistant referee raised his flag, and he was going like this, right? But he remained stationary. So there was an awkward silence, because now when he was going like this, some of the players stopped running.
Okay.
So I think there was a couple of seconds. We then saw the referee pointing to the spot. Then after that, the far side assistant referee ran to take his position on the edge of where the 18-yard box meets on the touchline. Yeah. So that's when he ran after that decision. Then the referee had to go over there. I don't know what they were talking about. And again, talking to the fourth official. I think they were communicating because the fourth official also ran there because the far side assistant referee was being mobbed by Highlanders players. So I don't know what they were talking about, but do you change a decision after consulting, like in that particular moment?
Yeah, just like when you have VAR. VAR is there. It means video assistant referee. So the assistant referee can actually be consulted by the referee if the referee is not sure. If he has taken a decision and is not sure of the decision, he can consult an assistant referee. The fourth official can actually tell him exactly what happened if he had a better angle of view, and even the other assistant. So the referee can change a decision. He is the final decision maker, but he can change a decision if he consults his colleagues and he believes what he has been told is correct. So he can make a change. So let me break it down in terms of that particular movement. The referee should have anticipated the moment that FC Platinum got hold of the ball inside their half. The referee should have quickly moved towards the other penalty area. The moment the ball was going to be kicked, he would have taken an advantage in terms of positioning vis-a-vis the attack, the building attack or the pending attack. So he should have moved earlier. And then when the ball was launched, he would have been in a very good position to see what is happening in between players. All right?
I wanted to find out, Mr. Ruziwe, now that you're bringing that, is there a possibility that at some time you may actually be, you may not be able to be in sync with play? To say, we are attacking like this, and then somebody gets the ball, and then all of a sudden it's on the other box.
Yes, it's possible.
So that way you would depend more on the assistant referee, isn't it?
All right. More?
So yes. So in this instance, in as much as he was away from the ball, the decision was coming from the assistant referee, who lifted up his flag, and from how I saw it, there is the infringement. From that other side where he was he was seeing, because there's no camera that other side, he saw an infringement. He saw a shirt being pulled, and as far as I'm concerned, I thought that was a foul and a penalty.
Okay, maybe if because it's being moved back, let's just watch it here.
Look at the left hand.
Yeah, we are looking at the left hand. Where did it start?
Left hand.
Mo, where did it start? For
Yes.
you now to then
Right.
say
It started,
this is a penalty.
I'm not a referee.
Yes.
But I will say what I think.
Yes.
It started outside the box. But look at what.
No.
Wait.
We want
No. I have to support my position. So let me support my position.
Before you support your position.
How do I support my position?
I asked you a question. Where did it start? That's the question, more. And you said from outside the box.
started outside the
So
box.
now we've got a professional in studio.
Can I finish so that he can finish? I just want him to give a full picture.
I'm asking
when
the
I'm
questions
done.
more. I'm asking the questions.
Can I just finish so
More.
that you can give
I think
a
I
better
might
picture?
have to be the referee.
Because this is not fair.
No. I'm asking the questions because I'm trying to get at something.
No. I
Ruziwe,
understand.
now, because I've asked him, where did it start? Whether it was the pulling of the shirt or the pushing, where did it start? He said from outside the box. As a referee,
Yes.
what happens? Do you give from where it started or where probably a player then fell?
The answer is plain clear where it ended.
Where
That's
it
the
ended.
answer. Yes. So if they're holding, we call it holding, the pulling of the shirt, the one that you say pulling of the shirt. If the holding started outside and it ended inside, then it is a penalty.
Thank you.
Okay. So if it is clear that there was holding in this scenario,
Thank you.
which I'm seeing from that angle, from a bigger screen, I'm seeing holding of the shirt, but it's on the other side. I can't see clearly what the hand is doing, but I can see the shirt moving. There was a pulled shirt starting outside the penalty area and ended up inside. So what it means is the decision was correct to award a penalty.
So it's a penalty.
Yes. So if the holding starts outside the penalty area and ends inside the penalty area, the decision will be at the penalty area. But if it is a push, for example, and someone pushes someone outside the penalty and then he falls inside, the decision is outside the penalty area. So where the foul ended up occurring is where the decision is.
So in this case, with
this
this
case.
angle, we can't really tell whether it's a push
Yes.
or it's the holding that you were talking
we
about.
can't really tell. But the movement of the yellow player's shirt is showing that there was
There's a pull.
Yes, there was a pull, and that pull ended inside the penalty. He released him inside the penalty area. This is why he fell on the other side, because he was pulled to that side. The Highlanders defender was actually trying to get balance by pulling him and then moving in front of him. Because when I first saw this thing and I was not sure of what was happening, I was actually questioning myself, how would the Highlanders player, having been moving towards that direction, find time to be faster than the other attacker who was really facing the ball? So there was a pulled shot outside the penalty area and he entered inside the penalty area. So the decision was correct. Penalty.
All right, you're watching The Culture right here on Zimbabwe's Television Network, brought to you in partnership with Africa Bet. Stay with us. You're watching The Couch right here on Zimbabwe's Television Network, brought to you in partnership with Africa Bet. And today we are looking at Zimbabwe football officiating. And, well, in a sense, we are just looking at the standards of match officiating in the country and whether it's contributing to the poor standards that we've got in Zimbabwe as a result of that. So it's good. We got clarity on what happened this past weekend. And now, so we are now looking at probably the whole picture of officiating in Zimbabwe, because that particular incident just was trying to bring us into this discussion. But a lot of people outside, you know, the fans, other stakeholders, they always say, bora remunhu muradhakwa, because my referee has his anita. And many times the allegations of corruption, my officials azopuwa mari, Ruzive ndewe Highlanders, Brighton Chimene ndewe FC Platinum. We have heard these situations. From the time that you were practicing as a referee, how would you feel? You know, you meet people and they say, you're Reserve Dynamos. How would you feel?
This is a common phenomena across the world. Referees tend to be associated with certain teams, probably because of some coincidences that would have happened along the way. I'll tell you my story. When I was refereeing in the Premier League, sometimes I would meet, for example, Dynamos. In 1 year, when Pasua was there, you remember when they took those 4 consecutive championships. I remember in 1 year, I was appointed to do 7 of Dynamos matches, including 1 cup match. Okay, so out of the 6 league matches, they won all the 6 in that year, and they took the championship. That's when people will start to say you are a Dynamos, because they've won. And I'll tell you again, in 2016, was it the year that Caps took the championship?
Yes.
I did 7 games, and they won 6 and drew 1. Okay, but they were doing well. It was not me. They were doing well. They were also winning the other matches. Okay, so what happens then when Dynamos starts losing after Pasua is gone? I do their games. I do 4 of the games. They lose 2. They draw 1 and they win 1. I become an enemy, I become another team's referee. So it's very common, it happens a lot, but we also, as referees, need to have a clear conscience, to say, I have done my best, I have done a game without any bias of any form. If any team tries to approach me, I will tell them, I'm not ready for that, I do my game. That is what is important. So it is important to be as impartial as possible. But I'll also tell you one aspect that makes the whole scenario very difficult. Right now, the Premier Soccer League is not paying referees. They are not getting their match fees as we speak. All right?
Who is supposed to pay the referees?
It's supposed to, in the old time, it was supposed to be the teams. Now the Premier Soccer League is saying the teams should not give referees their money. And what is the reason? They are saying if they come to give you the monies, they will give you more than what you are supposed to be getting.
And then
the money is, yes, it influences the result. The money is now going to the PSL. PSL is not paying referees. What do you expect? If you are having a man who is supposed to be working on the field and you are not paying them, 2, 3 games, 4 games, they are not paid, and they still go on to officiate matches. What is the result? What if there's a team that then comes behind closed doors? In my time, it didn't happen. We were paid by the teams. It was fine. But right now, as a match assessor, I'm not getting my money when I go to officiate a match, including sometimes not getting transport money. How do I work? How do I sponsor football myself?
Are they getting transport money?
Yes, transport money sometimes is paid. Some other times, the clubs pay the PSL right on the stadium. Some teams. But many of the teams are not paying. Right now, as I speak to you, there's a compilation of matches that are supposed to be paid. Since the time of COVID, when we're doing the Chibuku matches, the referees are not being paid. So how do you expect results from someone who is not paying, but they are supposed to be training? Training takes resources, okay? Going to a match takes resources. Officiating a match takes resources. After a match, you need to replenish. And when you go to ZPC Kariba and you come back without even your transport money, how do you expect the referee to feel? When they meet that very team next time who has not given them transport money, what do you expect them to do? They are human beings. They are normal.
And what is the PSL saying?
The PSL is the one that is saying the money should come through them, but then they are not paid, even after the club have paid to the PSL. So I'm just giving you a scenario which also makes things very, very difficult for us to have a good good matches.
It becomes really tricky. Yes. So just before you come in, I think we could have started here. We should have started here because I know you're human. You know, before becoming Rosive, the match official, you're human. Which team do you support?
Myself. Yeah. I'll tell you my story. Because
you know why I'm asking this?
Yes.
He supports FC Platinum.
Yes.
And he's right here. He supports Manika Town. He's right. I support Caps United. I'm right here.
I'll tell you my story. A true story. When I was a young guy, growing up with brothers, I used to support Dynamos. Up to a time when I finished my Form 4. I was supporting Dynamos. And what happened after Form 4, I just said to myself, I did not choose this team. It was Mkoma Chale, the soldier, whom I was staying with, who chose Dynamos.
Which one did you choose?
I have to look for my own team. And apparently, at that time, that was 1993, that's when Blackpool came to the fore. Then I started supporting Blackpool. Okay? So that was my team. And I'm telling you, and when Blackpool defunct, Motor Action took over. That same year, I joined refereeing. So I said, I'm not going to move to Motor Action. I'm now a referee.
I have listened to him and his narration, and it's a sad scenario that's happening. But I want to say when we were playing, we still had situations where you would know that it's going to be difficult going to Masvingo because Gombwe there was a referee called Gombwe. I'm sure you know him. You know that the trio, the Masvingo trio, it was Gombwe. I can't remember the other two. You know that it's going to be a tough match there. If you go to Wange, you would know that it's going to be difficult there. If you go to play Lancashire Steel and then you find Tabani Mkanjo coming from Blue Air to referee that match, you know it's going to be a difficult match. This has always been happening. I think the clubs that are at a disadvantage at most, from my experience as a player, have been the smaller clubs. It's easier for the match officials to turn a blind eye to a small team than to a bigger team. That's my experience. And they can get away with anything.
Right.
Because, yeah.
Thank you for that. Because now I want us, all of us, to answer this question. Realistically, the standards of officiating in Zimbabwe, Mr. Teach, what do you think?
I think the standards of officiating are poor, to say the least. But I think with what Ruziwe has said, we've been given a bit of context. Although I want to say I could sense, and I'm not trying to push back against him wanting to get paid and whatever, but I think the concern when teams used to pay referees directly, we used to cover games, you'd see sometimes a team, and he will know this, a team would put maybe, not money, but you go into that the changing room you guys have, they'll put maybe Ceres juice, like some expensive stuff. They'll make sure they'll give him more fuel than is necessary to get where they need to go. And that would influence. So I think the PSL, initially, they were trying to avoid that. But then now, in not paying referees now, they're creating the same problem now. Because now, if a team realizes that Ruziwe is unhappy, because he's standing by the gate, he's waiting, where's my money? They've seen a vulnerability and they're going to attack that, and that's going to compromise. So I think I've seen other leagues. I think in South Africa at one point, they had an insurance company coming in and taking care of the referees' expenses. So maybe that's what the PSL should do, find a corporate that says, you know what, when it comes to referees' expenses, because we need, one of the reasons why the officiating is poor is because the integrity is questionable, whether you're talking about the match fitness, whether you're talking about their financial well-being. Those are all vulnerabilities, and as long as those exist, then it's going to be trouble for referees. And then I think obviously the culture that has always been there. I'm from a small town. I'm a small town boy, so we understand these things more than most, in the sense that when these big teams, sometimes the referees might not admit it openly, but they are afraid to make these decisions against the bigger boys, like what Mo was saying, because it's easier to maybe punish a Wawa or a Yada than the rat that you face for a team that is supported by 7 million people.
All right, you then had to qualify my question was just, what do you think of yes. No, I'm coming to you. I want to hear from Ruziwe. The standards of officiating now in Zimbabwe, what do you think? I know you are part of the system, but what do you think, honestly?
I think even when the time I was still refereeing, in a way, let's talk about the time of the Gladmo Mzambis, the Mkunas, the Felix Tangawarimas, the Kizito Ndoros. The competition to me at that time was very, very high. It showed a standard where people were really keen to work, were really keen to perform and to get results. My time, I would say we are a notch down from those guys. I would want to admit that.
And now?
And it's still worse. It's getting worse and worse. And I'll tell you the reason why my time and now, because my time we are talking of 1 year ago, going backwards. Now, it's almost like my time now. The other reason for the standards going down, I'll tell you, is a question of administrative blunders or administrative bobs or administrative incapacities. Why I say so? Right now, as I speak to you, we have 96 referees in the Premier Soccer League, the elite referees, 96. That's FIFA and CIFA panel. And that's a sad scenario. How many teams do we have in Zimbabwe? 18. How many matches per week? 9. Out of 9 games, how many officials do we want? 9 times 4. What does it give you? 18, 36, right? 36 referees are needed per week.
Out of 96.
And how many times that 36 get into 96? 3 times. Okay. So what does it mean in terms of the experience, the match participation? How many times does a center ref? We have talked of 36 referees per week, but we are talking 9 center referees per each week. What does it mean? A referee will spend 3 to 4 weeks without practicing match practice is very important. If you take your Mukarati, let me take the example of Mukarati. Doing well right now, I'm sure every journalist is talking about how good he is as a performer. It's because he's playing week in, week out under Tondenderai. If you take out Mukarati 1 week and next week he jumps and the next week,
there's no consistency.
Only 1 week. Just jump 1 week per each. There's no consistency. There's no match practice. You go down. But he's playing every week. Every other week that Dynamos is playing, you play. Then you have match practice. This is the same with the referee. If you have your referee practicing today one match, and I told you about the aspects, the 3 aspects of assessing. I look at him and I see he has poor match control, he is physically fit, and then he has got good teamwork. He needs to improve on match control, right? I tell him today, and he spends 4 weeks without practicing. The next moment, 5th week that he goes back to the field of play, what does he remember from what I said? Nothing. And how is he going to correct it under probably a new assessor? Nothing. So you have a recipe for disaster for refereeing standards in Zimbabwe because of the way we are actually enhancing our personal issues, our nepotism, our political stance. How many referees are supposed to be coming from Lawayo, how many from Harare, how many from Marsh West. We have to look at quality. When we talk, yes,
there is quantity.
There is quantity. When we talk of refereeing, we talk elite refereeing, we talk quality. And we talk quality. I'll tell you, if I was the one in charge, I would make sure referees don't go beyond 46. The assistant referees. 96 is too big a figure. And the powers that be, it cannot manage a football in Zimbabwe, cannot help the development of football if they have such a number.
Big numbers.
It's just unacceptable.
All right, tell you what, I know I'm going to come to you. I haven't heard from you. Let's go to the streets, because what we did, we went into the streets of Harare just to hear what the people think about the standard of officiating in Zimbabwe.
Chakutongodiwa pakutongobatanawo nedzimwe nyika kutongotiwo tito inonzi VAR iriko mazuva anaya. I think tikada togona kubatsirikana because pamwe pacho zvishuwa togona kuvapa blame marefa acho ka, but vanenge vasina kuonawo, uye zvilinesmen pamwe vanenge vasina kuonawo, saka panenge pakutoda kamera kuti yaona zvakaita sei. I think those the solution yatokwanisa kuita panguva ino.
Marefu mapei mari tibhora rinakisa wozoenderesa kudheye kuti munhu unenge uchimupa mari isingamukwanirewo muti refu rabhora anopedzera kutengesa mabhora, atengesa magemu kuti awane mari, because anenge asina zvaari kuita kuti awane mari. Saka wapei mari inonyatsa kukwana kuti bhora redu rinakidza.
Marefu atingi ari kupiwa mari shoma, vanenge vakatoisa mari mumasokisi. Vanenge vachiona kuti kwakarerekera kuzvinhu ndekupi ndo kwandikwanisa kuita sei kuti ndirarame unako. Izvezvi marefu vandodyisa, undoona kuti apa bhora riri kutodyiswa nemarefa. Saka ndivari kukonzeresa zvese zvamunoona zvakaitika kana mandava ndo akakonzeresa. Vanenge vatoziva kuti aiwa iyi nenguva payave apa yakandiisa chemumusha kuti vaone mari.
Marefu edu anotamba anorefura akaisa mari masokisi nenyaya yekuti havasi kupiwa mari dzinogutsa nekwaanopiwa masalaries. Saka anenge achitoona kuti segemu iroro reFC Platinum neHighlanders, nditi refu akazopa pena mulast minute angaona kuti Platinum inenge ine tumari rikandifevhere Platinum. Saka ndosaka makaona rakazoita noise. Indototi kune masupporters Highlanders, ndototi hondo yakatoitika yakakonzereswa narefu. Refu aifanira kungosiya zvakadaro chete, hapana noise aitika. Saka bad refereeing iri kukonzerwa nepoor salaries, plus iwo marefu echo anenge ekunonga ungonzi uyu atopedza course asina chaaita.
Yeah, it's hilarious what the people think. Look, these are some of the stakeholders of the game, the fans. And yeah, that's also their side, because they're also looking at, and some of the issues that you are bringing to the fore, these guys are saying it. Come up with chi, come up with mari. Because at the end of the day, we say even these guys are coming to work, they need money. Everybody needs money. Argument or whatever, exactly. They should.
I'll tell you, Howard, when I joined refereeing, I was coming from the college, from UZ. When I started joining refereeing, I actually thought there was no money. It was just for fun. I actually thought probably I would have a career of my own, and then I just go and referee, and assist the nation. But then when I tested the money when I got there, and the 180 that we used to get just 5 years ago, it's good. It's good. And you enjoy it because you can go and buy nyama yekumba. My mwana vazombotauri newe kana watengera nyama ya 180, right? Okay. So now when you go to a match, you are used to being paid and the money is reduced in the first place, and then secondly it comes half because it has been put to RDGS when it has been charged in US dollars. It's a challenge. It's a challenge. But of course, we have to look at the administrative aspects. I think this is what is more important. The administrative aspect that will enhance the performance of refereeing. I think this is what is important.
Standard of officiating?
I just wanted to concur with everyone. The standards have gone down. You can
concur
see,
with everyone.
from the time you was talking about Tangawarima coming down up until, look at how many referees are on the FIFA panel who are actually getting matches for CAF or for any other international matches. We don't have. Then there were quite a number. And we ended up having some actually going to the highest levels, AFCON, the World Cup Tangawarima, I think. So it's going down. And I think I need to hammer on the issue of fitness. Even if you look at yesterday's match, you find that the referee, the assistant referee, could not keep up with the pace of the match. He was always behind the movement. Yet you are saying you are just manning this half of the game. You should, at any given time, be strategically positioned to be in line with the last man in defense. But at any given time, you'd find him always behind. So you give a questionable it will end up with the wrong decisions coming up because you are not in line.
So I'm being told our time is up, but just one quick one, because I've seen our players struggling when it comes to international matches. I'll give you a case in point. Mighty Warriors, Rio 2016. Every time the ball was on the line, you'd see them, their hands up. Every time. And you would see Germany and them playing on the line. And our players would have stopped playing. And I've seen it again in the PSL. You'd think the ball is still in because it's on the line. But the assistant referee has his flag up. What's wrong with this kind of officiating?
I'm also an instructor. You know, we teach them, Guti, it's only when the whole of the ball, including the shed of the ball, when you are putting the ball on the ground, its shed should actually be out. The whole of the ball should be outside the football play for the ball to be outside. For an assistant to be raising a flag after being taught that of such a scenario, then it means it's incapacity on the part of the assistant. This is where I'm talking about the 96 referees, which doesn't make sense. You need to have quality in the Premier League. You don't take the Tom, Dick, and Harry to perform for the elite league. You need quality.
I know we would have gone on and on because I know we've got a lot of questions that we want, because this is the most important aspect of our game, because players come to play. Yes, the ball is there, but you need somebody to be in charge, and these are the referees, and we all concur that the standards have gone down. But unfortunately, because of time, we can't continue. But
yes, correct.
Thank you so much, Ruzio, for coming through to the show.
Thank you.
And
so much.
thanks to the Couch Squad, Mr. Teach and Momo of the Couch, back again next week. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Howard Msonza.